And now let's turn our focus to Central America. That's where one of the world's largest traffic jams is taking place. Though it's not the usual type of blockage. It's a traffic jam in the sea. More than 100 ships are currently stuck near Panama. The Central American nation is home to an engineering marvel, the Panama Canal. It allows ships to travel between the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, helping save billions in transport costs. But the canal has been under a lot of pressure lately. Its water sources have been drying up. This is due to a drought-like situation in Central America. It has forced canal authorities to restrict the passage of ships. So these ships have been stuck for days waiting to cross, and this delay will affect global trade. Our next report tells you more.
Do you remember the 2021 Suez Canal crisis, where hundreds of ships were stuck in a traffic jam? Billions of dollars worth of global trade ground to a halt. All because one ship accidentally blocked Egypt's Suez Canal. Well, something like that is happening again, this time in the Panama Canal. It's the canal linking the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans. It passes through the Central American nation of Panama, and it's an engineering marvel. Built over 100 years ago, the canal revolutionized global trade. It allowed ships to take a shortcut through Panama instead of going all the way down to the tip of Argentina. But now this canal is facing a crisis, not because of a wayward ship like at Suez, but because of climate change. To understand this, we need to see how the Panama Canal works. This is the Panama Canal. It's about 81 kilometers long, and it works because of expert engineering. Ships enter from one of the oceans. They stop at what's known as a set of locks. These are artificial elevators that run on water. When a ship is in position, the locks are flooded, and the ships rise. Through a series of 3 locks, they rise to about 27 meters above sea level. Ships then sail across artificial lakes. After this, they are lowered again through another set of locks, bringing them to the other side of Central America. Remember, this canal was built over a century ago. That's why it's considered a wonder of engineering. Now that you know how it works, you may be able to spot the problem. The canal depends on water to raise and lower ships, and lots of it. About 200 million liters of water is used per ship passage. And not just any water, only fresh water is used. Fresh water from the artificial lakes located in between the locks.
We must remember that the big disadvantage that the Panama Canal has as a maritime route is that we operate with fresh water, while others use seawater. Every time we open the gate that leads to the sea, seawater is mixed with fresh water. And the larger the gate is, the greater the volume of salt water that enters the system.
These artificial lakes also provide drinking water to millions of people. So, what happens when there's a drought? What happens when Panama is forced to conserve water for its residents? Exactly what's happening now. The Panama Canal has restricted the number of ships allowed to cross each day. It's down to 32 ships. It used to be 36 up until June. At peak efficiency, the canal could allow 40 ships to pass every day. Because less ships are allowed to pass, we have a traffic jam forming. There have been various reports about the number of ships stuck. Some say 200, others claim around 150. The Panama Canal authorities issued a clarification yesterday. They said 131 ships were stuck, down from a peak of 165 2 weeks ago. The authorities also said that the crossing delay had reduced by 50%. Now, ships only had to wait about 10 days on an average, as the jam was actually clearing up. The monsoon has also arrived in Panama. So, it will help replenish the artificial lakes in between the canal locks. But the canal authorities are still worried, because they aren't out of hot water yet. Literally, because 2023 is an El Nino year. It's a natural weather phenomenon that occurs every few years. It heats up the oceans and causes water bodies to evaporate. This year's El Nino is expected to be worse than usual because of the effects of climate change.
This year, 2023, as a result of this anomaly in the temperature of the Pacific, evaporation has increased a lot. And what happens? As a result of this active event, this El Nino event, the rainy season started late and weak, if we can call it that. And we are expecting the 2023 El Nino to become much more severe by the end of the year. So that scenario looks pretty grey.
The restrictions to the number of ships passing will remain, possibly till September 2024. So, to avoid traffic jams, shipping companies may need to look at alternative routes. But this would mean huge losses for Panama.
In terms of tolls alone, the water shortage will cost $200 million. We have to find other solutions to remain a relevant route for international trade. If we don't adapt, we are going to die.
Panama's authorities think it's time for change, that the over-century-old engineering marvel needs to adapt to climate change. If not, the global climate crisis will claim the Panama Canal among its victims.